guys, it's Kira and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking to you about some really exciting reading plans that I've got coming up, and I'm hoping that some of you will also be able to join me on this little reading quest that I've got in store for myself. So before I jump into all of the exciting details, just to give a little bit of context about what's coming up, you may or may not know, but I am a huge fan of 24-hour readathons. I just think they're so much fun and I love giving myself a big challenge. And so some of the challenges I've done in the past have been really specific because I just absolutely love giving myself a really specific reading challenge. So I've done ones like reading a huge book in one day, trying to read only books by one author in the same day, trying to read books of a particular genre, and then my absolute favourite is when I try and read an entire series in one day. And so the last time I did this was in April when I read the entire Hunger Games trilogy all in one day in preparation for the prequel that came out in May. And that was so much fun and I enjoyed that challenge so much that as soon as I was done with it, I ended up going onto Twitter and putting a poll up to ask people which series I should try and read next. And so the options I gave in this poll were The Diviners, The Raven Cycle, Nevernight, and also The Lord of the Rings. And very surprisingly to me, the absolute resounding winner from this poll was in fact The Lord of the Rings, and I was so excited about this, but also so surprised because I just hadn't expected that one to be the winner. In my mind, that was like the least popular series, at least in terms of BookTube popularity, whereas the other three series were really popular on BookTube. And so I hadn't expected it to be Lord of the Rings at all, but I put it on there just because I was really excited to read that series. And then that ended up being the one which by far got the most votes, which was very exciting. And then having seen the results of my poll, my wonderful friend Lucy from the channel crescentpages, who you may or may not know, is a huge Lord of the Rings fan and just absolute expert on all things Middle-earth. She actually wrote her dissertation for her English degree on Lord of the Rings, and she just knows all there is to know about this series. So she saw the results of that poll and ended up messaging me because she was so excited that I was finally going to be reading this series. And I genuinely think it is part of Lucy's life mission to actually make sure that everyone reads this series, and so she was very excited to see that I was going to be reading it. And as we were chatting and getting excited, we ended up coming up with the concept of the Fellowship of the Readalong, aka a Lord of the Rings read-along. Because I'm going to be reading the series for the first time, Lucy fancied a reread, we just realised that it would be so much fun to open this up into a read-along and let as many people as want to take part read along with us, because we just realised that reading together would be really fun, but reading with a load of other people as well would be even more fun. And I also think it's just going to be such a fun combination because I am a complete newbie to all things to do with Middle-earth. I've never read the books, of course, I've never seen the films, and I really have no idea what I'm getting into, whereas Lucy is a complete expert and she really knows all there is to know about it. So whether you're like me and you're delving into this series for the very first time, or you're like Lucy and you absolutely love it and just want to reread it, you are completely welcome to take part in this read-along, and it would be so much fun, whichever sort of side of this like reading experience you're on, whether you've read some of the books, all of them, or you're completely new to it. It would be amazing if you wanted to join us and read this book or book series along with us. So as I've already mentioned, I'm obviously a big fan of 24-hour readathons, and to me they're really fun. However, I also know that they're not everyone's cup of tea, and simply just finding a full day that you can dedicate just to reading can be really tricky. So I'm going to be incorporating a 24-hour readathon into this Lord of the Rings read-along. However, don't worry, 24-hour readathons are not your thing because it is completely optional, and the rest of the Fellowship of the Read-along has been set out by Lucy and I on a completely normal schedule, which will mean that you can just read them at your own pace without having to worry about fitting in a 24-hour readathon. So if you are interested in 24-hour readathons, I'll get to the details on those in just a moment, but for now I'll just talk you through the details on the normal Fellowship of the Read-along schedule. So there are of course 3 books in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and Lucy and I have decided to dedicate just over 2 weeks to reading each of these books. They're not the biggest books in the world in terms of like their size, but the text inside them, or at least in my versions, is pretty tiny, and so we wanted to make sure that we gave people enough time to read them and enjoy it and soak in all of the details, but without having to rush, and we thought that 2 weeks was a really nice time for that. So we've got just over 2 weeks for each of these books, and we're going to be starting this read along on the 1st of July and going all the way through until the 14th of August, which I'm so excited about. And even more excitingly, we've also planned 3 live shows, one for each of these books, and the live shows are going to be taking place on the Friday after we finish reading that book. And I'm so excited because I think they're going to be so much fun. So of course, starting with the first book in the series, The Fellowship of the Ring, we're going to be reading this one from the 1st of July until the 15th of July, and then the live show for this book is going to be over on Lucy's channel on Friday the 17th of July. We'll be reading the second book in the series, The Two Towers, from the 15th of July until the 29th of July, and the live show for this book will be on my channel and it will be on Friday the 31st of July. And then finally, we'll of course be reading the final instalment of the series, The Return of the King, and we'll be reading this one from the 29th of July until the 12th of August, and the live show for this book will be over on Lucy's channel again, and this one will be on Friday the 14th of August, and that will bring this incredible read-along to an end. So like I said, all of the live shows for these books will be on the Friday after we finish reading them. All of those details will be in the description box down below, and the live shows are going to be taking place at 7 p.m. British time, but of course they'll be staying up on our channels afterwards, so if you don't manage to tune in live, you'll still be able to watch them. And just to give a quick warning, because this is a read-along which is all about reading a series together, the live shows are going to be filled with spoilers, so if you're slightly behind in reading the books, just make sure not to watch the live show until after you've completely finished it, because we will be talking about all of our thoughts in great detail, which will of course mean spoilers. I'm so excited because I absolutely love live shows, and I think it's going to be such a fun way to discuss both mine and Lucy's thoughts on the books, and also to get your guys' thoughts as well, because there is of course a live chat along with live shows, and I just think it's going to be so much fun, and I honestly cannot wait. Especially because, like I said, I just think it's so much fun that I'm reading it for the first time, and I'm sure some of you guys will be as well, but then Lucy and I'm sure other of you guys will be reading it for like the millionth time and will absolutely love it already, and I just think having that mixture of different opinions and experiences with the series will be really, really fun. So moving on to the 24-hour readathon idea that really kicked off this entire read-along concept. Like I said, I love them, I think they're great, and I'm definitely going to be doing one, but there is absolutely no pressure. It would be amazing if you like them as well, you wanted to join me on my one, but again, no pressure, read at completely your own pace. We've got the official schedule for the read-along, and that is really all that you need to keep up with to make sure that you can watch the lives in real time, but even then, they'll be staying up on our channel, so there's really no pressure to keep up unless you really want to join us for the live shows on the day live. But aside from that, it's completely up to you. You can read as quickly or as slowly as you'd like, and if you want to set yourself any fun challenges, go ahead, because I think that would be so much fun. And personally, I'm going to be kicking off the read-along on the very first Friday, which will be Friday the 3rd of July, with a 24-hour readathon, of course. Now, like I said, the text in these books is pretty tiny, and so I really don't know how far I'm going to get with these books, but it's just going to be a really fun challenge. No major pressure, I just kind of want to see how far I can get. The little mini goal I'm setting for myself is to hopefully finish The Fellowship of the Ring, because I think that would be really cool to be able to do that in 24 hours. If I get further than that, that would be absolutely incredible, and if I don't quite manage it, that's completely fine as well. I'm just going to really see how far I can get, and that will be on Friday the 3rd of July. I'm going to be starting at 8 p.m. British time and going through until 8 p.m. on Saturday the 4th of July, so if you would like to join me, then that would be absolutely incredible, and again, all of those details will be in the description box down below, so you don't have to worry about remembering it, but that's when I'm going to be doing my 24-hour readathon. Feel free to arrange your own as well and let us know, and we will of course share that in case anyone wants to join. But essentially, I just think it's going to be a really fun little challenge, no pressure, just a lot of fun. So there are obviously so many exciting plans going on, and I cannot wait for them all to kick off at the beginning of July. And like I said, I'm obviously so excited for the live shows. I think they're going to be such a fun place to talk about all of our thoughts on this series. But Lucy and I did want to make sure that we didn't have to wait until the very end of each book to talk to you about all of our thoughts. We wanted to be able to keep up a conversation with you all the way through the read along, and so for that reason we also set up a Discord chat. And I think this is going to be so much fun, because this essentially just means that we can all keep up to date on everyone's thoughts on the series, get updates on everyone's progress, and just essentially have a place to talk about all things to do with Lord of the Rings right throughout this read along, and to be honest, after the read along as well, because the server will stay up, so we can all just carry on chatting about all things to do with this series. The link to the Discord chat will be in the description box down below, but in there you will find a section for each of the books, and we've split that into a spoiler-free section and a spoiler section, so you can pick a chat which suits you depending on which part of the book you're in, whether you're reading it for the first time or rereading it, or whether you just don't really care about spoilers or you want to read it like completely with no idea about what's going on. You can pick a section that suits you and just chat about all things to do with which bit of the book you're up to. We've also got a section on each of the books for any ideas, questions, or like discussion points that you'd like us to get to in the live shows. So we've got one for each of the books, which means that you can leave very, very specific ideas and questions, and we'll definitely make sure that if you leave anything in that section of the Discord, we will absolutely get to that in the live show. And I think it's going to be a really fun way to make sure that everyone who's involved in the read along gets a chance to talk about what they want to talk about in the live shows and discuss everything that they think is interesting about this series. There's also a section on there for the 24-hour readathon that I just mentioned, so we can all keep each other updated about our progress and all things to do with that, which I think is going to be really, really fun. And then finally, like I mentioned earlier on in this video, I'm a complete newbie to all things to do with Lord of the Rings. I've never seen the films or read the books, and so I thought it'd be really fun to do both of those things together. So as well as reading the books during this read along, I'm also going to be trying to watch all of the films. So we've also got a section for each of the films to talk about all of our thoughts there, which I think is going to be really fun. And again, if you're rewatching them for the millionth time or watching them for the very first time, you can just have a chat in there, talk about all of your thoughts, and just have fun talking about all things to do with Lord of the Rings. I truly am just so excited about this read along, and I feel so lucky to be co-hosting it with someone as incredible as Lucy. She's just a wonderful person in general and so intelligent and kind and just incredible, but particularly when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I feel so lucky that I have someone with as much expertise and knowledge reading it alongside of me, because she is just such an expert and just talks about this series so intelligently. And really the way that she talks about this series is the thing that kind of sparked my interest in wanting to read this series at all, because before hearing Lucy talk about it, it really wasn't on my radar whatsoever. So Lucy's channel as well as her social media pages will be linked in the description box down below, so definitely go and check her out and subscribe to her channel and follow her on social media. Her channel is absolutely incredible and she speaks so intelligently and articulately about all of the books that she talks about, but particularly if you are interested in Lord of the Rings at all and you're thinking about joining us for the Fellowship of the Read Along, I definitely recommend going and subscribing to her if you're not subscribed already, because she just talks about this series in such an incredible way, and she'll definitely be sharing some incredible content throughout this read along as well, which will be definitely unmissable. So go and subscribe to Lucy. But I think that brings all of the information about the Fellowship of the Read Along that you need to know to an end. I'm honestly so incredibly excited to kickstart the read along of the Lord of the Rings. I've been thinking about reading this series for ages, and I'm so glad that I'm finally doing it, not just on my own, but with Lucy and hopefully with all of you guys as well. Don't worry about remembering all of the information I've mentioned today, because that will all be in the description box down below. So in there you'll of course find the links to Lucy's channel and social media pages, the Discord chat, as well as the schedule for the read along, the 24-hour readathon information, and also all of the live show information, whose channel you'll find it on and what time it will be. I'm really excited about this read along, if you couldn't tell. I really hope that you'll be able to join us on the Fellowship of the Read Along and that you're as excited as Lucy and I are. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.